You walk through the door, shoes still on, jaw still tight from that meeting that should have been an email. And before you've even set your bag down, your dog is already reading you, not your face, not your body language, your chemistry. The cortisol bleeding through your skin, the stress you never said out loud. They know. And what nobody's telling you is what that's doing to them. Most of us assume our dog is just excited to see us. And sure, part of that is true. But there's a layer underneath the tail wags and the jumping that goes much deeper than affection. There's a biological conversation happening the moment you cross that threshold, one you are not consciously having, but your dog absolutely is. And it is time we talk about what's really being communicated. Let us start with the nose. Your dog has roughly 300 million olfactory receptors. You have about 6 million. That's not a small gap, that's an entirely different sensory universe. What you smell is home. When you walk in the door, your dog smells as a constantly updating chemical ledger. Every person who's been in that space, every emotion that's been felt there, every hormonal shift logged, cataloged, and interpreted in real time. Now add cortisol to that picture. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. When your boss drops a last-minute project on your desk at 4:47 p.m., when the commute home is stop and go for 45 minutes, when you replay a difficult conversation on a loop, the entire drive, your cortisol spikes. And it doesn't just stay in your bloodstream. It seeps through your sweat glands, through your breath, through the microscopic chemical signals your body broadcasts without your permission. The moment you step inside, your dog's nose is already decoding all of it. Research published in scientific journals studying human-dog cortisol synchrony has found something genuinely striking. Dogs do not just detect elevated stress, they mirror it. Their own cortisol levels rise in response to yours. This isn't behavioral mimicry. This is a physiological echo. Your suppressed boardroom frustration becomes a chemical event inside your dog's body. Here's what makes this especially significant. You walked in thinking you were hiding it. You said, "I am fine," to your partner. You smiled at your dog. You performed calm. But your dog wasn't watching the performance, they were sampling the raw data underneath it. The scent of burnout doesn't lie, and it doesn't wait for you to be ready to talk about it. Now, this is where the feedback loop gets genuinely interesting and genuinely concerning, because it doesn't stop at detection. Once your dog's stress hormones elevate in response to yours, they begin expressing that internal state behaviorally. Restlessness, clinginess, destructive behavior, digestive issues, appetite changes, excessive barking at nothing. Sound familiar? These aren't random quirks or bad dog moments. These are symptoms. Your dog is showing you what you buried in the office parking lot before you drove home. And here's the layer that most people miss entirely: because your dog is now exhibiting stress behavior, you respond to it. You feel guilty, or frustrated, or confused. And that emotional response, even if it is subtle, registers as another cortisol event. Another data point your dog inhales and processes. The loop closes, and then it starts again tomorrow. This is the invisible tether. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It just quietly synchronizes your nervous systems across species, across the language barrier, across the invisible wall you thought you'd built between work and home. So what do you actually do with this information? Because knowing the mechanism matters, but it is useless without a practical shift in how you approach that transition moment, the one between closing your car door and opening your front door. That threshold is everything, and most of us blow straight through it without a second thought. We carry the office in our bodies and then wonder why the household feels tense, why the dog will not settle, why the evening never quite decompresses the way we hoped. The research on cortisol half-life tells us that under normal conditions, cortisol levels begin declining roughly 20 to 30 minutes after a stressor ends. But ending a stressor doesn't mean physically leaving the building, it means neurologically disengaging from it. If you are still mentally drafting your response to that email chain during your commute, your cortisol hasn't started its decline yet. You arrive home at full stress capacity, and your dog receives the full transmission. What actually interrupts that pattern is a deliberate decompression ritual before you enter, not a complicated one. 5 minutes in the car before you go inside. A short walk around the block alone first. A conscious, physical exhale, not metaphorical. An actual slow exhale that activates your parasympathetic nervous system. These aren't soft suggestions. They're physiological resets that begin lowering the chemical signal your dog is about to receive. Because when you walk through that door with even a marginally reduced cortisol signature, your dog detects that too. The same 300 million receptors that catch the stress can catch the shift away from it. And when they do, their own stress response doesn't activate in the same way. The feedback loop still exists, but now it is running in the opposite direction. Calm is contagious in exactly the same way tension is. There's something worth sitting with here. Your dog has no concept of your quarterly targets. They do not know your manager's name. They have no framework for understanding why you came home wound tight for the third Tuesday in a row. But they carry the weight of it anyway in their bodies, in their behavior, in the cortisol coursing through a system that was never designed to process someone else's professional burnout. The bond between humans and dogs is one of the oldest co-evolutionary relationships on the planet, tens of thousands of years of mutual attunement. That attunement is a gift, but it comes with a responsibility that most dog owners have never been told about. You are your dog's primary emotional environment, not occasionally, constantly. They are always reading you, always calibrating to you, always absorbing the unedited version of whatever you are carrying. And when you understand that, really understand it, not just intellectually but in the gut, it reframes the whole relationship. Your dog's well-being and your own are not separate projects. They are the same project. The work you do on managing your stress response isn't just self-care. It's dog care. It's relationship care. It's honoring the depth of a bond that operates far below the surface of anything you can see. If this shifted how you see your relationship with your dog, stay with that feeling and take one thing from today into your routine. Start with that transition moment before you walk through the door. 5 minutes. That's all. Notice what changes in how your dog greets you and, more importantly, how the rest of the evening unfolds. The loop is already running. You just get to choose which direction it goes. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and we will see you in the next video.